Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics on Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Look, today's sort of an ad hoc show. I had a meeting downtown in Houston, so I had to rush back up here and kind of put things together. And then I said, you know what? After a little something occurred today, I said, today we are going to dedicate this show to insurance companies. We're going to dedicate this show to the debate. We're going to dedicate this show to the evil from within, the medical system again. And I would like for you guys to really share this show. Like I said, it is ad hoc. It is going to be directly out of here without any kind of literature or anything like that, because, folks, we need to start getting real. We need people to stop being fooled. We need people to stop being hoodwinked. But anyhow, I titled the show today, and it has an interesting title, because you're going to ask, what do you say you're going to talk about health insurance, but somehow you gave it a title that says, what is the title that I gave the show today? The Democratic Party has been infiltrated by right-wing hacks. Well, yeah, the only reason we are going to have this insurance problem is because we have right-wing hacks abound, in both parties that are actually stopping progress. And it begins with Joe Biden. It begins with Michael Bennett. It begins with Delaney. Look, these are people that don't have a fat chance in hell of winning the Democratic nomination. They're placed there. You know how you throw spaghetti on the wall? Split. Let's see if we can throw some spaghetti on the wall and see what is going to stick. Let's throw in a whole, with your 20 Democrats running. Ask yourself the question. Most of these guys know they can't win. But you know what they're banking on? They're banking on something happening. Something happening that leaves one of the right-wing hacks standing. And in the process of leaving one of the Tim Ryan, in the process of leaving one of the right-wing hacks standing, then the plutocracy would have gotten what it wants. Then the right wing would have gotten what it wants. And then they get two birds with one stone. They want to get rid of the Neanderthal in the office. They want to get rid of that guy that really doesn't know what he's doing. That guy that is bringing shame to the country. That guy that nobody wants to say, I am like him. But they have to do that in silence. So let's be clear here. Let's understand. All the times, all of my regular listeners know I talk a whole lot about the rails of the two parties keeping us all in check, making sure that we don't go too far. And it goes with you right-wingers too, my brothers and sisters on the right. They got you under control. They want to say, we got to make sure that they don't go, because the only way we can rip everybody off is if we keep them within this channel. We keep them within this channel and we can rob them blind. We can rob them like they've never been robbed before. And that's what it's all about. And what I want to do with this show today, and by the way, this is a call-in show, my brothers and sisters, 646-716-5812. I would love to hear from any number of you. Actually, the way the phone system that I have here can handle up to 50 calls at a time. 646-716-5812. I would love to hear from you, but this is important. This is very important, not just important. The insurance companies are thugs. The pharmaceutical companies are thugs. If there were other people doing what these folks are doing to the American population, if you had a pickpocket that was in your drugstore, in your grocery store, that picked your pocket, took what was yours, made you less rich, made you poorer, the government would be over, the police would be there to stomp him down and shoot him down because he's taking what's yours. He's taking what's yours undeservedly. Think about that. We in America, we define theft as taking something that doesn't belong to you, something you hadn't worked for, and you just take it, it's somebody else's. Well, we've defined ways of stealing from you, taking from you, usurping what's yours. Yes, Deborah Ann Borgen, thank you so kindly for being here, and you are correct, my dear sister. Social Security works fine, and what we need is a Social Security that is even more effective. So yeah, we have, look, what politics, the sole purpose of politics done right is to really beg folks to not just listen to this person shooting off on the air or and on the internet. It's with the expectation that you're going to say, can what he is saying be really so? Because this is not what I'm hearing on TV. This is not what I'm really hearing. And what I'm saying, I want to be interrogated. I want you to judge me. I want you to judge what I'm saying. I want you to judge how I am framing what I am saying. And then telling me, can you really disagree with what I'm saying? Look, every year, you get a little, if you're lucky, you get a 2% or so increase in your salary. And then guess what happens? You realize that, oh, but guess what went up by a whole bunch as well to cover what you thought was, I am going, oops, there we go. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, my friends. Anyhow, so every year or so you get some, and this goes across the board, right? And then you go in and you check and you realize, oh my God, I got a little raise. And then you realize that all your other costs has gone up. The plutocracy is a closed environment, right? You know, they talk about there's 0.1% of people control 50% of all the wealth in this country. Yeah, it's true. It's true. So when Exxon or whatever give you a little raise, and I'm not talking about the executives now. Remember, the executives are the guardians of the plutocracy. They are the wards of the plutocracy. They make sure that the plutocracy can continue to screw you. You know, you have to have, in the slavery days, you had your head, you know what, that screwed his own people, right? In the corporate days, you have the executives that are there to screw the people who work for the corporations, right? They have to make things look plausible. And then they keep enough of them to create enough of a critical mass that government, who's then controlled by whatever money these corporations are able to furnish there, get to it. I want you to understand the way the system works, because everybody thinks, oh, we live in a meritocracy. You know, if you work hard and good things are going to happen to you because this is America. This is a meritocracy, and all will be well. This is not a meritocracy, folks. Yes, somebody could have a sandwich shop and do very well with that sandwich shop. That's one person, but everybody can't have a sandwich shop. Somebody can have a pizzeria. Somebody can have a beer shop. All these things are true. Those things are really meritocracy, and in the aggregate, for those small businesses that go ahead and create themselves, that people create, not create themselves, that people create, those are great things, right? But the vast mass of the people don't get to partake on that, right? So I'm going to explain to you how this stuff works. When I tell you it's a closed loop for the most part, there's some little externalities for, yes, the small person who's going to have a pizzeria, who's going to have a sandwich shop, who's going to have these little companies and so forth. That's not a part of the the people that are picking your pockets, okay? But here it goes. Here it goes. You know, if you have somebody that walks into a grocery store and they go ahead and pull their purse, and after they pull your purse, they take your credit card and your money and they spend on it, that person goes to jail for a very long time. Well, sometimes not so long, but that person, and we look down at them as being a criminal. How could you do that? How can you be so criminal to do that? That's how we see them. Society has taught us that somebody who takes something that they didn't work for, they didn't earn, they just took it away from somebody else's, that somehow that is theft. That is how it's defined in the law. Now, let's go to the insulin story. It's a medical story now. Insulin has been in existence over 100 years. Listen to me good, folks. Insulin has been in existence over 100 years. And those of you that are just joining us, please share these programs. Because you're not going to hear this on TV. You're not going to hear this on MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CBS, Fox News, or anything. You know why? Because they're owned by the plutocracy. The executives of the plutocracy make sure that these kinds of knowledge cannot be imparted on the people, on you, on the masses. So, there are very few outlets that give us the wherewithal to get this. Thank the supreme powers that I was honored to get a slot once a week on a 100,000 watt station, the KPFT 90.1 FM Pacifica Network station. I hope you listen to me there as well. 90.1 FM, KPFT 90.1 FM in Houston. That's where we do it on air. A 100,000 watt transmitter takes care of the entire southeast Texas, north, south, west, east, but the entire part of Texas. But folks, brothers and sisters, so we don't have a lot of airwaves. We don't have a lot of internet space. Even on the internet, they're throttling folks, right? They're throttling what they say is not good information, not fake news. You know, the fake news is a new mantra now, right? So the way they can throw your stuff out every so often is you have them define it as fake news, put it out there, and by the time you fought to get the piece of news that was never fake news back on, the time has passed. So there are so many forces out there working to keep you uninformed. There are so many forces out there keeping it, ensuring that 0.1% that Bernie always talks about, that Elizabeth Warren always talks about, keep you under their heels. And they know how to create a narrative to make the folks who are telling you the truth look like those left-wing kooks. We are not left-wing kooks. We are honest folk. We are honest folks trying to reveal a message to you so that you can research it on your own, and so that after you have researched it on your own, you can realize, oh my God, I just didn't know they were doing this to us all. I just didn't know. And the thing about it now is we are coming close to the end. But you see, the wards of the plutocracy and the plutocracy proper, in other words, the rich folk that control everything, they're not the smartest people on earth. They have all the wealth and the capital, yeah. But you just have to be greedy to have a lot. You don't really... look, you never bother worship Bill Gates as a good billionaire as opposed to the Koch brothers as the bad billionaires, right? The thing about it is, I don't. I have all billionaires in the same boat. Whether it be Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Smith, the guy who gave $40 million to that school, they are all billionaires, and they are all taking their more than their fair share out of a closed economic system, which means they're taking it from whom? From you. So you're saying, thank you very much for taking what's mine. Thank you. I love you so much. I respect you for being I respect no billionaire. I respect no wealthy person that's making money off of capital. You know who I respect? I go to a restaurant out here. This guy makes the best tacos in the world. This guy makes the best menudo in the world. Menudo, for those of you who don't know, menudo is that good old stuff that you boil all the intestines and all that kind of stuff of the pig and stuff. And oh, it's so good, but Americans look at it, they're like, oh my God, what is that you're eating, Egberto? I went on a bike ride one time with my folks here from Kingwood, and we went out there into this town, and we went to this Mexican restaurant in Leakey, Texas. Well, it's outside of Leakey. I think it was Kentwood. And they had a steam table, and on the steam table I saw some menudo. And I went and I got some menudo. And all my white brothers that ride the bike with me, they're out there, and they're like, hey, what is that you're eating, Egberto? Oh, it's menudo. What is menudo, Egberto? Okay, gave them the menudo, and, well, they ate it. And they was like, oh, wow, this stuff is good. Now, right around the corner from me, there's a place selling menudo. But anyway, I digressed, and I'm so sorry, but I wanted to get into that. But anyhow, going back to where we were before. We have to work on the wards of the plutocracy, first of all. Like I've told several of my executive friends before, when the pitchforks come, it's coming for them first, right? And, people laugh, oh, that's not going to happen. Look, I'm seeing too many times now. You can't ask people to suffer and suffer and suffer to the point eventually they have nothing. What do they have to lose? Donald Trump was kind of right when he went up on stage and he told black people to try him. I'm coming to the phone in a second. He told them, try me. Black people, try Donald Trump, please. What have you got to lose? Donald Trump was so right. But it wasn't about that. It was about what does all Americans have to lose. And the entire middle class and the poor, you got everything to lose. And he's doing a good job of taking it all away from you. I have a lot more to say, but I want to bring in my caller here, and then we'll move on from there. Caller from 973, come on in, my friend. Oops. Let's see. I think it's on now. Caller, come on in.
Berto!
Oh, this sounds like Senor Johnny. Talk to me, Johnny.
Oh, man, I had to call because, yesterday...
Yes, sir.
After we spoke, I was listening to your conversation with some of your other callers, and I was absolutely fascinated with the gun people and their insistence that there is somehow this imaginary threat that somebody's going to ask them to give up their guns, which has never happened and probably never will happen. But it was interesting to me that when you pressed them on this issue, it went very quickly from, oh, I own guns, because I'm a hobbyist, I'm a sports enthusiast, to no, I actually own guns to protect myself from the tyranny of the government.
It's for the revolution, yeah. You see, a lot of people,
I couldn't believe they actually said that. I always thought they believed it.
No. Let me tell you something, Johnny, and this is something I've been trying to talk to people about. So hear me out a second. And this is so important, right? My topic today is talking about the plutocracy and how the insurance companies are ripping you off and how it's really theft and anybody else would be in jail. I'm talking about all of that. But here's the thing about the gun issue. All of that revolves, the gun issue is a part of the big plan as well. And here's how it goes. And
Yes.
I find it difficult that people don't see the picture, right? There are two alternate states of realities that we're living in. And if you notice when I spoke to, I think the guy's name was Larry. And what I do when I have these conversations is I have a very civil conversation because I planted a seed in Larry. Okay? It's not gonna bear fruit anytime soon. But Larry was able to talk to somebody who didn't just think he was crazy about guns, because I know how he got programmed. These guys are being told two things. I don't know if you followed the entire discussion, but here's what he said. He started to talk when he changed the subject as far as defense is concerned. He went ahead and started talking about South Africa and what occurred in South Africa when we went from white rule to democratic rule in South Africa. What he's saying now is his information system is telling him that there is a white genocide occurring there. In other words, now that black folks are mostly in control, which is not true, but that's what their networks tell them. They know that there's some sort of a white genocide occurring, which is also not true. But the idea is the reason they're using South Africa as an example is because when they come in America and they hear that in the next decade or two, America will be a majority-minority country. They want to be able to set the parallel as far as what the fight has to be. Why do you have to buy guns? They don't tell you it is so that the gun makers make a ton of money. They tell you you have to be prepared, and that gives the urgency to buy guns. The other thing that they do is they keep this separation of people, right? Because in order for them to hold on to control, they can't have Appalachia, the ghettos, and the barrios joining together and say, hey, the plutocracy is screwing us all. We're all the same. They can't have that. So they compare. Yes, go ahead.
But isn't your health care more important than buying a gun?
Listen to me.
I'm just saying from your list of priorities.
No.
I would think that health care would be higher up.
Let me tell you what they are also taught. They're also taught, and it's the same reason why they would believe in funding the defense budget ad nauseum at the expense of social programs. They'll tell you that straight up. And the answer that they've learned to accept is that there is no you if you can't defend yourself. So therefore, defend yourself, and then you can worry about healing yourself. So, I mean, they have been, in Spanish we call it, están tan trastornados en la mente. That means they're so, they're so mixed up in the mind because they have been given a narrative, a plausible narrative they believe. And then all their actions after that comes with that narrative. So when you have them talking to somebody like myself, my goal is not to get them pissed off or irate or whatever. Is to like lead them down and ask, do you understand? Let's take it from point 1 to point 2. Like I asked him a question that actually he came up with a better answer than I did. I looked at him and he said, well, the reason he has his gun is because of tyranny, to prevent the tyranny of the government. And then I said, like you could go against an F-16, right? And that is the argument I always use. But then he came back with a better argument. And that is where I say you always have to talk to people so that you can prune your narrative. He then came back and said, you ever heard of Vietnam? And he didn't have to say anything after that. Yeah,
but see, and I heard him say that, and you should have just said, listen, there's a huge difference.
No, Johnny.
No, he's not. Because you can't do Vietnam here in America. Because you can sit there and say, oh, we'll just run into the hills. Listen, these are not people that are native to this country.
Yes,
okay?
I get it.
They don't have, I know that they think that just because they go out and hunt deer, that you can go hide in the woods and fight off the government.
Well, Johnny, you have some people that have done that. And you know what? I'm not presumptuous enough to believe that people that want something...
But the fact of the matter is that what I'm saying to you is that this is a problem because the fact is that their psyche is built around this idea that they can actually say to the government that the government for the people, by the people, is their enemy. In other words, instead of understanding that the government is a representation of them,
I agree. But look, the government remember, Johnny, I am not talking to you, okay? I am not talking to you.
Yeah, no, I get that part. Right, yeah, I get that part.
No, you have to realize
I'm flabbergasted.
And that's the difference between you and me, right? And that's why I am where I'm at. And that's why you're healing people. You're a doctor healing people. I am trying to talk to the mind. You don't have the patience.
No, I'm glad you're doing it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. We all have our place. But hold on, John. Let me go to 770. But stay with me. Okay, 770. You're on.
Hello.
Yes, you're on 770.
Thank you, sir. I was the gentleman who spoke to you yesterday, Larry.
How you doing, Larry?
Fine, thank you.
Great. Now, do you want to...
You asked the gentleman yesterday about the efficacy of M16s versus tanks.
Right.
I spent 26 years in the United States Army, both the Illinois Army National Guard, 5 years on active duty, to include combat tours as an infantryman and a tank commander in Vietnam. And I got called up for Operation Iraqi Freedom in the National Guard, and I got called up for the Gulf War. So I have pretty much experience in these matters, and I can tell you right now, as a former tank commander in Vietnam, One of the things that are most useful for infantry to destroy tanks is small arms, because you force the crew to button up. You can kill the tank commander and/or the driver who ride head out of the hatches, or you can force them to go into the tank and button up. And when they button up, they're vulnerable to all sorts of anti-tank weapons.
2019.
Johnny, let him finish, please. Go ahead.
Now, again, and I know that out of the nearly 4,000 men who served as armored vehicle crewmen in Vietnam on a main battle tank, and I commanded an M48A3, which was the main battle tank at the time, 27% of armored vehicle crewmen who served in Vietnam were killed in action, which is the highest death rate of any military occupational specialty in Vietnam.
Okay, and that.
So for anyone to tell me that small arms have no effect against armor is simply not true.
Okay, first of all,
and they don't know what they're talking about.
2019.
Let Johnny speak
It's
now.
2019,
It
my brother.
doesn't, sir. It hasn't changed.
Hold on a second.
What
Let me,
Ask anyone who
Technology
understands
hasn't changed?
anything
everybody stop.
about
Everybody
anti-armor
stop.
tactics.
Hold on.
It hasn't changed.
Sir, everybody stop. Let me look. One of the things about politics done right is we take calls from everybody. I don't care what ideology you are. Please make me direct my show so that I can ask different folks to speak at a time so that we can understand each other. So, okay, I've heard your point, Larry. Let's go back to Johnny. Go ahead, Johnny.
Mike, I'm just saying, I understand what he's saying. Yes, you can be effective in guerrilla warfare, but I ask you that you have to at least account for the fact that times have changed and that technology has gotten better, and that if you try to conduct a guerrilla war against today's 2019 modern army with their ability with motion detectors, with all of that stuff, I'm just telling you right now, it would look like Slaughterhouse-5.
Okay, respond.
Sir,
Larry.
principles
Respond,
don't
Larry.
change.
Let Larry respond.
Principles do not change. Tactics essentially remain the same. Again, sir, I retired from the Illinois Army National Guard in 2005. Technology has not developed that much with regard to anti-armor
Larry, let me tell you what.
tactics.
It
It has not changed
Larry,
that much.
Okay, let me just say
And
this.
the principles don't change.
Okay, Larry, hold on now. Let me tell you guys what. First of all, that is not my concern, right? My concern isn't whether your gun is going to penetrate the tank or whether you have some bullets.
It won't. It won't. That's
I know
not
that.
the point. The crew are soft targets.
I got it, Larry. Let me finish. We talk once at a time, my brother. Please. Okay. What I'm trying to say, what's important here is not us having a real encounter between Larry and a whole bunch of gun holders and the government. The government really has no intentions of doing that because the government is so dispersed. But here's the other thing about it. Larry is made to believe that somehow there is this one big bad government that folks like him are going to have to protect. And I know where it comes from. I watch and listen to all these different right-wing channels. I do. And I understand what's going on. So my goal with folks like both Johnny and Larry is to look at both of you and say, hey, let me tell you something. I could have coffee with both Larry and Johnny on the same table, and I bet we would leave that place, having some fun.
Let me ask you this question, Berto,
Yes,
and this is for Larry. One question for Larry.
Yes.
Larry, what about your oath to the country? How do you?
Yes, sir.
On the one hand, you say you have spent your entire life protecting this country, and you swore an oath to protect it. How could you then, at the same time, take up arms
Okay, let him
against
answer.
it?
Let him
You
answer.
want to know
Just
my
because you
oath?
disagreed with the president or you disagreed with a policy.
Sir.
Go ahead and answer.
I'm not
Larry.
in a cult of personality. I took an oath to defend the Constitution. Have you ever read the enlisted man's and/or officer's oath? When they enlist or are commissioned in the United States Armed Forces, they take an oath to defend the Constitution. They don't take an oath of fealty to a leader. We're not Adolf Hitler, listen, the Third Reich, and we don't take oaths to the loyalty to a leader. We take an oath to the Constitution. And when the Constitution is violated and all other means to redress the situation are useless or ineffectual or not available, then yes, taking up arms against that government is moral and required.
Okay, stop now. Let me ask you. I have a question for you now, Larry, and it goes like this. And let's stay calm here. I have a question for you, Larry. Different people have different interpretations of the Constitution, and that is supposedly based on our three different branches of government. That's why we have something called a Supreme Court to interpret whether person X or agency X believe something is constitutional or not. You do believe in that formulation, correct?
Yes, as a principle, but when they make things up out of thin air like they did in Roe versus Wade, I'm sorry, sir, I don't have any respect for that. If they stick to within constitutional reasoning and precedent, then I will accept it, yes.
But how do you make that determination?
Sir, again, read Roe versus Wade, penumbras and emanations.
You said...
That was literally in the decision. Again, sir, I'm not a robot or a zombie. I'm capable of reason.
Larry.
Now, what if the Supreme Court was to rule that every third red-haired person that enters the Constitution building should be executed? Because they rule it, that makes it true? Or that makes it valid? No.
Larry,
it's got to be based on something.
Everybody stop. I want to ask Larry a question. Larry, here's the issue. I've read Roe versus Wade as well, okay? And it so happened that I think using the clause, what clause is that again? The privacy clause. I think it is valid, right?
Which doesn't exist, by the way.
Okay, I know that's what you said, okay? And that's what I'm saying. I am saying...
No, read the Constitution. There is no such thing.
Listen to me.
There's a right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures,
yes.
But there is no right to privacy in the Constitution.
And that is... and that's what I'm saying. People... is a corporation a person? Does the Constitution talk anything about that? Do you have the same?
Again, sir. If the states wish to allow abortion, I'm simply saying there is no federal constitutional right. So I'm saying that decisions based on the federal Constitution must have a basis in that document.
Again, I ask you again. Your issue, you used the abortion issue, and that's fine. And
that was an example. It was just an example of what I'm talking about.
That. We can disagree on that. That's fine. We disagree on that one.
I don't really want to talk about abortion. I want to respond to the gentleman when he said that we make rulings, and therefore we have to respect them because they're made by a body that's empowered to make them.
Sir, you've already addressed that. You said you're not a robot. Understood. So my next question to you is whether the Supreme Court has ruled that corporations are people, and because they are people, there are many laws that they can use that persons would use. My question to you is, as a constitutionalist, are you holding those same values that you hold against Roe versus Wade for, let's say, Citizens United and other laws that...
Yes, sir, and I'll tell you why. I will tell you why.
Okay, well, you just have my respect. Stop. All I wanted was a yes or no answer, and you said that you don't like those...
Yes, the answer is yes.
We don't need to talk anymore because that one, for me, we have agreement on that one. All right. Anything else you want to add before I move on, my friend?
Well, yes, again, sir, the Constitution to me is not a living, breathing document.
That's fine.
If it is, then I'd like to play poker. I would like to play poker with you by my living, breathing rules. My two-of-a-kind beats your full house.
Well, it is a living document.
Again, it is a fixed document. The process to change the Constitution is the Article 5 amendatory process. If you don't like something, you convince your fellow citizens to vote in an amendment to change it.
But Larry, before you go, Larry, I have to tell you something, okay? And this is where we get into issues. If it were that absolute, okay? If it were that absolute, you would not need a Supreme Court to interpret the document.
But I don't agree with that.
But I mean that's what the Constitution says. Okay?
But all I'm saying is the Supreme Court should not...
Sir, Larry, I just want us to be consistent, my friend. The Constitution, and I don't remember what article it is. The Constitution says that
Article 3.
There you
it's
go.
Article 3.
It interprets the executive executes the laws, the legislative makes the laws, and the judiciary interprets the law. It determines.
That's not what it
says.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Larry.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Do you believe
Section
that
2 says the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority. Now, it says other things too, but it doesn't say really anything about interpretation. That came out of Madison versus Marbury, and many people think that was a distortion of the intent of Article 3.
You know, you want me to tell you what I am impressed with? I'm with you, Larry. I'm honest as hell. The amount of knowledge that you have with the letter of the Constitution. You're not very flexible, but I am amazed. First of all, I don't care anything about the document personally. For me, the document doesn't mean much. Okay, I think it's a terrible document, but that is the rules that we're living under. But that said, I am impressed that you, a right winger, spend the time to know the Constitution. I wish more of us would do it, because I can sit down and have coffee with you and blow your Wade versus Roe versus Wade, but it's going to take more time than I have on here right now. So we'll have to do that some other time. Maybe I'll. Where are you located?
Well,
where are you?
I live in Georgia. I'm an expatriate from Chicago. I was a police officer.
Well, you know what, man? The next time I'm in
Illinois.
Hey, brother, the next time I'm in Georgia, I'm going to take you to coffee, all right?
Oh, that'd be fine with me. I'd love to hash it out with you. But I'm an expatriate from Illinois. I was an Illinois State police officer, and I came to Georgia to get away from Illinois.
Oh, my God. We're going to have to talk about why you're doing that. But anyway, we talk later, brother.
All right.
Take care. All right, Johnny, any quick closers before I go? I know you have something to say about Larry, so go ahead and say that, and we'll move on.
Well, listen, I respect the fact that Larry has very strong opinions, but my problem with Larry is that he is, in fact, a layperson. He is not a judicial expert. His job, his ability to interpret the law is ineffective, and not to sound harsh, but he doesn't have the educational background to have these kind of deliberations. I appreciate the fact that he's an American citizen, and citizens can make these claims, but Alberto, the problem is that on the one hand, he wants to simply point out and say the document itself, the Constitution, is unchanging, even though the world around us is, and he's allowed to have that interpretation.
Yes.
But when you take that interpretation, that comes with consequences that you have to accept.
And I want to push back a bit. I want to push back
that he doesn't want to accept those consequences.
Johnny,
the minute he doesn't agree with something, he wants to take up arms against the government.
Dr. Johnny, I want to push back a bit on that, okay? I'm a degreed person. I'm a mechanical engineer. I created great software. I did a whole lot of stuff. But the one thing I always learned over the years is that I can learn from anybody, whether.
Agreed.
Okay, and that's what I've learned over time, because yes.
But you can't address the court,
right? No,
unless you come in there with a legal degree.
Right, I wouldn't know how to do it.
Well, not with a law degree, but with a law license.
Right, I wouldn't know what to do.
So I'm just saying, I appreciate what you're saying, but at the same time, in a court of law, that man has no standing.
Let me finish, okay? There are a lot of people that don't know the technicalities, but I know too many smart, educated people who are the ones that are pushing the narrative that I hear Larry talking about. So I can listen. I can turn on the TV and watch these educated people come out with the same conclusion. Some of them because that's what they believe. Others because they're doing it for sinister purposes. So I guess that's what I need to say in that regards. But yeah, Johnny, look, Larry represents a large percentage of this country that has been hardened and programmed using the Constitution, using what has happened in South Africa, and the reason they have to.
But
there's
Berto,
a whole lot of
what?
that occurring right
guess
now.
What, Berto?
Yes, sir.
You have to hold him to the ethical standards that you hold everyone else that swears an oath to this country.
Yes,
they didn't say, do you take this oath only for the time that you serve? It is an oath long oath, and he has turned his back on that, and so have many people. And you need to just say to them, did you not swear allegiance to this country? How dare you? Taking up arms, listen, stockpiling weapons is actually sedition. Sedition is treason, and treason is wrong.
And you know
I'm
what,
just saying
Johnny?
to you, you can't store guns with the hope of one day holding America hostage because you don't like the way things are going. We have a process in place. If you don't like the way things are going, put the process in place to fix it.
You know what?
Like everyone else.
Johnny, you know, I went to lunch today, and I looked at a friend of mine, and I said, being right is not enough. That's what I told my friend today. Being right is not enough. In other words, Johnny, you are absolutely right, but that is not enough. And why is it not enough?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah. No, wait. Johnny, don't leave yet. I want to tell you why it's not enough. Did he leave? Oh, he left. All right. Anyhow, folks, I missed Johnny. He didn't get a chance to finish saying what I said. Being right is not enough. And the reason in this case, and then I'm going to get back on the healthcare. The reason right is not enough is this. The gun companies, because of a lousy government that we have right now, has allowed all these folks to arm themselves. They are fully and entirely armed. So for us to say, okay, we need to try you for sedition, it's not going to be an easy task when you have a militia that's going to come. Yes, it'll get pretty darn bloody pretty darn fast. So my thing is how you do that. These people are, many of them, brainwashed in their beliefs. And at first I thought these were just a whole bunch of disgruntled folks that's just how they are. And in talking to them over the internet, in talking to them on air, and even here like Larry spoke, these people have been reprogrammed. And the decommission is not going to be easy. And this was done on purpose, and it even feeds into our discussion on healthcare. Remember how I started the show today? And don't forget, folks, I hope you're sharing this stuff. Remember how I started the show today? I started the show and I said, if you're in a grocery store and somebody came up to you and picked your pocket, you are going to want that person arrested. You're going to want that person in jail because they took something that is yours. They took something that doesn't belong to them. Drug companies, insurance companies, that's what they're doing. The only difference is that we, the people, through our government, has sanctioned, has allowed these people to rip us off clean. You know about the settlement that we've just gotten with what's the name of the credit bureau? They are giving back $125 to anybody who goes ahead and find their names, over several million people. I think it's 100 million people or something like that. $125 all these people are going to get because their information was shared. Ask yourself, all this company does is store your data, all your credit data. If they can afford in a lawsuit after allowing a breach of data to pay several hundred, 100 million people or more, $125. I want you guys to think the kind of money that these guys have flown around, because it doesn't affect their bottom line. Same thing with insurance companies, right? That your premiums that you pay. You know, everybody's talking about. We watch the debate. I said that right now the Democratic Party is we are on a tip. Why are all these Democrats running and half of them completely right-wing Democrats? Bennett yesterday said, "Oh, we're taking away insurance." We're not taking away a damn thing. People not buying insurance. People are buying health care. We're saying, get rid of the thugs and let us all pool our money together and have us one single pair pay the darn bill. That's what we're saying. Get rid of the thugs. Why do we call them thugs? Why are health insurance companies thugs? Let me tell you why. They are thugs because they're taking something that don't belong to them. You go ahead and you pay your premiums. Right off the top of that premium, before any bill gets paid, that executive, the president, the CEO, the CFO has to get their millions first. That isn't millions that they're working for. That is your money. That is your premium going into the pockets of a president of that company. And remember, we have hundreds of insurance companies. So that is all your premiums, people, paying for a job created by these people that does absolutely nothing. Oh, they can say, oh, what we do as insurance companies is we mitigate risk. We make sure that for our shareholders. Oh, you mitigate risk for your shareholders. You don't provide payment to health insurance for their health care. There is absolutely no reason. And hear me out here, folks. This is an absolute statement. There is absolutely no reason for private health insurance companies. The sole purpose for private health insurance companies is to steal your money. No two ways about it. And I'm going to the drug companies next. But the health insurance companies, they take your money, they pay high-powered executives, and they pay a small amount to their workers. You know, the workers always get the least. And the worker's job, here's what the jobs of the workers. The worker's job is the money that you pay to the insurance companies is to deny you service. The more service they can deny you, the more they can deny you service, the more money the shareholders can make. And if the shareholders make good money, that tells them, oh, we can give them a good bonus. They don't say, we save money, we'll give it back to the high-price insurance people who had to pay it anyway. They say, oh, that president of the company, look how great the company is doing. Let's give him a bonus. The employees don't get no damn bonus. People, the ripoff in this country at the top it's amazing. And they don't talk about this on TV because if people realize how they were being ripped off by thugs in a suit, they would start thinking, wait a minute, why? And then we have the drug companies. Oh, don't get me started with drug companies, but I am getting started with the drug companies. Insulin. Okay, I need to go to Mr. Masticator on YouTube. Mr. Masticator, this is a ridiculous okay, I don't want to talk about the war part and interpretation of the Constitution, but what I want to talk about is, at what point does Egberto, his lies and propaganda, become an enemy of the people? Sounds like, to me, he's getting quite close. A thug is someone who forces you and a threat of force to give or do something you want. Sounds like Egberto to me. Oh, I am a thug now. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Masticator. Listening to such radical, illogical ideas, I can feel my brain cells committing suicide. I would like you to tell me, Mr. Masticator, specifically what I have said that is wrong. I would love you to tell me, sir, what have I said that is wrong? Because you know what? Everything that I said is not only correct, but people can go ahead and check it. And that's what I beg my audience to do. Please don't listen to me at face value. Please, I would like you to judge everything that I say. I want you to calculate everything that I say. Don't just take it at face value. Please don't. Because I can stand by all the things I'm speaking about. But anyhow, so I explained to you about the insurance companies now. And every year the insurance prices go up. And they go up faster than inflation. And the claims that they give that it goes up faster than inflation is they got to make their money. And since the drug companies and everybody else raise their prices again, they also have to make money. So they have to charge the insurance companies more. The insurance companies charge you more. But there's another factor, price and power. Insurance companies are all American companies, all companies in the capitalistic society. They have something they call growth. And every company, for that stock price to keep growing, because remember, the stock price generally is a hell of a lot more than the total assets of the company. The value of the stocks, if you were to go ahead and sell all the stocks and see what you collect for that stock, it would be worth more than the total assets of that company. So what you're buying is what they like to call future earnings or goodwill or all these things. Is what they claim is in the price of the stock. It's BS. It's just a gambling machine. The stock market is nothing more than legalized gambling. The stock market is legal. Our system is the most corrupt. You know, when you understand economics, right? And when you learn the basis of our economic system, you start to say, oh my God, yeah, we all function in it, right? I mean, I at one time I had a little stocks. At one time, I mean, all these things are real. It's a system, but it's a game. But when we start to look at it from a holistic point of view, when we really start looking at things, it's like, oh my God, that is really not it is really a corrupt system, and it's not a meritocracy. It's a system where you have to be chosen. And by the way, I tell people a lot of times, yeah, Willie's Computer Software Company made quite a bit of ducats, and you know why I was chosen? People say, oh, no, your work was good. Yeah, my work was damn good. I have over 20. I have tons of products. One of these days, I'm going to bring out all my products and show you all the products that I've made over the years. But, I mean, still, you had to be chosen, right? People who wanted ComDRV, people who wanted ComDRV NT, people who wanted ComDRV WDM, right? But they chose it. And I had the price and power. So I was in control. But most Americans don't have price and power. People say, well, you can charge whatever you want. Yeah, right. Whatever I charge get passed down to the lowest person who has no price and power. And that's why the poor and the middle class will never, ever make it in the aggregate. You'll have some people that leapfrog. They get to be the chosen. So they can leapfrog their current state. But most people will never, ever be okay. And it's by design. That's how our system is. Drug companies, they go ahead. Insulin is what I started. Insulin. A product that is over 100 years old. The inventor gave it away for $1. How can these drug companies then charge you over $700 a month for insulin? How? It's free. The patent is gone. It costs less than $1 to make a vial. It's free. Now, folks, can you accept that? That in order to give that executive, in order to give those executives those 6 figures and 7 figures and 8-figure salaries, it didn't come from nowhere. That's your money. When your aunt pays out of pocket $700 for that insulin, she is giving away the birthright of her siblings, the birthrights of her offsprings. It is a direct transfer of her wealth. The direct transfer of her wealth to some corporation. When you pay $2.43 a gallon for gas, it's too little if you look at the externalities of all the bad things that it does. But in just the cost of the product that came out of the ground free of charge, except for what it takes to get it out of there. Folks, we get so ripped off. Public lands that have oil and ute doesn't belong to you, even though it's America. So it's important for us to, when we are going to the voting booth. Oh, it looks like I got a call. Come on. Sorry, I missed that call earlier. Come on in, caller. 573.
Hey, Alberto, it's Mike.
Talk to me, Mike.
Just a quick note on insulin.
Yes.
The thing is that they've actually specialized certain insulin to do certain things in a different way. Okay, it's not the same as it was 100 years ago.
Okay.
Okay. For example, yes, you can actually still go get very cheap insulin at any pharmacy or whatever. Okay. The problem is when you dose yourself, whenever you need it as a type, I think it's type 1, that, it's basically instant, and it takes care of what that is. But there are a lot of other types of designed insulin that people need for, like, 8 hours or 12 hours.
I get it, time release
whatever.
and all that sort
them,
of stuff. I really get.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
honestly get the time release and the reformulation. But let me tell you a little secret in the industry, and this is a secret in the drug industry. And I've done a lot of research on this over the years. They change or add a little drug not to necessarily make the thing better, but to go ahead and be able to repatent it. And then repatent it, being able to charge a whole lot more money. And what I need folks like you, Mike, to do, right, is you have to. We need you to be less ideological on these issues. There is no reason for.
I agree on you.
Mm-hmm.
I agree on the patent part. The patent abuse,
right,
is what that is, and that's another government issue.
I agree. I wrote about it in my book. I agree with you.
Right, and you're trying to blame the companies for a government issue.
No, I'm blaming the companies because they're the ones who submit the patent. They're the ones who, because of Citizens United and other things, control the government. They're the ones who pay the government to pay the government to for these things, right?
If that particular patent rule wasn't there to where they could just slightly modify something and repatent and rekeep the it's a certain time period, then they can
years,
keep that patent.
Yes.
If that rule wasn't there, they wouldn't be able to do it.
I agree.
Right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, there you go. It's the government's problem.
No, but the government
needs to change it.
The corporations or the government is owned by the corporations. That's what we preach here, right? Isn't that right, sir? Mike?
It's basically if the government can give gifts or favors to companies in exchange for bribes.
Yes.
To the yes.
So you're agreeing with me.
You are going to have you are going to have corruption.
Right, and the corruption starts with the company.
If the government cannot give any of those gifts or favors to companies, the companies will not try to bribe the politicians. It's a chicken and egg.
Mike, I gotta go. Mike, that was novel. Mike,
yeah, I know.
Mike, that was novel, brother.
But it's the truth.
Look here, we'll talk later, brother. You have a great.
It's logical.
Huh?
You too. Talk to you later, man.
All right, brother. Bye-bye. Okay, folks, we got to come to the end of the show, and I'm late as usual. We're trying to ask you guys to support the show, but please, folks, do remember that this is a call-in show, but not only a call-in show, but a progressive show that needs your support. Please go to patreon.com/politics done right. That is patreon.com/politics done right. Anybody who subscribes to our channel gets, as I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. That book will teach you everything you need to know about the economy, how they're screwing us, absolutely everything. Please go ahead and get that book. You can also get that book at Amazon.com, but I'd love for you to become a subscriber because we need hundreds of subscribers to keep this stuff alive. We're not only here in the studio, but we go out in the fields. Like if you take a look at EgbertoWillies.com, you'll see all the interviews that we did at Netroots Nation in Philly a couple weeks ago. You also writing a book called How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. That the idea behind that is, the first 3 chapters are online. Please take a look at it. I think you will enjoy the first parts that are written. We still, we're writing it as I have the time to go back and start pulling it on. Then, of course, there is, I used to have a lot of weight on, bad blood pressure, almost died, 240 over 140 was my blood rate, which was like stroke material. So I wrote the book, Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. Say no to snake oil. It works. So I followed. I've been down in my weight for several years now and keeping it off. Folks, let me tell you, I'm selling all these books for subscriptions, asking you to subscribe. Why? In order to keep this program going, in order to continue informing my brothers and sisters, because, this is an altruistic endeavor for me. Go to store.politicsdoneright.com. Check this out. Get our cup, nice cup, drink to Politics Done Right. We're going to change this world. And don't forget, get yourself the t-shirts also. Hey, mira esto. I got it. Hey, I got it in front of the camera just the right way now. Politicsdoneright.com. Get the t-shirts, folks. And let's spread the word. Share the program. Let other people know that we exist. But most importantly, I need your subscriptions. I need your contributions. I need your shopping at our stores so that we can stay alive. If we don't have an alternative media, if we don't have a media that is out there to tell us the truth, if we don't have folks out there preaching what we are not being told on TV, we are not going to make it. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, whether you're in Appalachia, as you can see, I love my conservatives, I love my liberals, I love my progressives, I love my anarchists, everybody, because we're in the same country and we must coexist. And I tell you something, the only reason we have problems today is that 0.1%, they are intent, and I don't say this lightly, they're intent on keeping people separated, on keeping people against each other's throats. Because if you are at each other's throats, you cannot be at those who are really causing the problem. So my goal or my ask of you is let's stay together. And look, let me tell you, I get a lot of emails that tear me down and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't mind them at all, because you know what's more important to me? What's more important to me is to keep the lines of communications open. So if you are here as a conservative and you decide to come over here as a conservative to cuss me out or whatever, thank you very much. I'm happy, because at least we're having a conversation. And if we're talking to each other, man, we're not blowing each other apart. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I'm going to end this, baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.